The verse of the day is James 2:10, and it says, "For the person who keeps all of the laws except one is as guilty as a person who has broken all of God's laws." This is such a good verse because it highlights that all of us are flawed. And it reminds me of the story where the woman was caught in adultery, and Jesus said, "If none of you have sinned, then you can throw the first stone." And all of them walked away because all of us sin. We all have different tendencies, different struggles, different areas of weakness, but we all sin. And today's verse is highlighting it's still in the category of a warning against prejudice. And so James is highlighting that if you have favoritism and you're not loving your neighbor well, that's just as much of a sin as murder, as falling into adultery. Now, obviously, one has more harm than the other because sin brings harm, right? Sin equals harm. Sin equals death. So anytime we fall into sin, it's harmful to us. It's bringing death to our soul and our identity, which is why God is always trying to create boundaries to keep us safe from it. And so when we think about murder, adultery, or favoritism, all of those things cause harm in different ways. All of them strip love. All of them aren't loving well. All of them aren't in alignment with God's greatest commands. His greatest command is to love Him first, and then to love your neighbor as yourself, which those are connected. We can't learn how to love our neighbor well if we don't love God wholeheartedly in every category of our life, because He teaches us unconditional love. There's no chance I could love people well if it weren't for the love God is constantly giving me regardless of my mistakes. I think if we're honest, we see that we're not falling into the bigger sins or the ones that cause more harm or more blatantly evil. And we see ourselves as, oh, I'm doing good, I'm doing better than them. But if you have favoritism, if you have judgment, if you have the not so visible sin happening inside, it's still going to cause destruction to your heart, and it's still going to cause you to not love people well. And God doesn't see that as better than the other. So if you are falling into sin here, you're all sinners, no matter what level of sin you've fallen into, which, if you think about it, is really good news, because none of us cannot sin. None of us are perfect. And this is why we needed a perfect Savior to save us from our sin. And why we need Him every day, because every day the enemy is going to try to drag us away. Every day he's going to try to get us offended and mad and cause division in our life with relationships, jobs, us and God. Every day we have to work at, okay, Lord, check my heart. Where can I let go? Where can I let you in more? Where do I need more healing? Where do I need more of your love, more of your spirit? This might be a bold statement, but I actually believe if you've fallen into one of the bigger, more obvious sins, it actually forces you to fully run and depend on God in a surrendered way, because you know that you need God, and you know your weakness super clearly. But when we struggle with the more hidden ones, the favoritism, the judgment, the unforgiveness that we can hold on in here, it actually causes you to be more stagnant and lukewarm and think that you're doing this thing right and you're on the right track, but you still have poison in your heart that you need to reveal and to see. And this is why accountability is so important, and why being baptized is so important, because it's a declaration, a public declaration to this new life you're living, which means everyone now understands this is your choice and what you're deciding to do, and you're held accountable. And that means you're not living this hidden life, but you're declaring it, and the enemy can see, oh, they're going to be outward and loud. And that means I can't draw them away in the secret like I used to, because they're being public and bold about it. This could also be why I'm sure there's so many examples of this, of where maybe someone has done one of the bigger sins or gone to prison for murder or adultery or any of those things. And then God uses them in a massive way because of their heart posture of surrender. They come out of prison and their testimony is huge. And it might make someone who has maybe been following Jesus for 10 years get irritated, or like, God, why aren't you using me? But it's not the why aren't you using me? It's, are we in a heart posture of surrender and full dependence and knowing our need for Him in every category, in the favoritism, in the little? Because I think it's in the big that forces us to really look at ourselves and let go. And when we kind of see ourselves as more righteous and, oh, I'm doing all the things, I'm walking with God, I've been walking with God, He set me free, but we don't continue to check our heart it makes us stagnant, and it makes us fall into contempt and see God as just, yeah, I love God, rather than waking up every day so incredibly grateful for your freedom and for the relationship that births this passion and desire and heart posture to be used by God in a big way. A sentence that I think makes this so clear is, the laws we follow do not make up for the ones that we don't. And we can't have selective obedience. And so often we think we can, oh, I'm doing this, I have a good heart, I treat people well, but I'll let this slide. I'll let sleeping before marriage slide. I'll judge here and there, I'll gossip here and there, I'll let that slide. But I'm loving well, I'm going to church, I'm serving, I'm doing the things. And we compartmentalize what we think is right and wrong. And that ultimately is you saying, God, I know what's best. I'm going to be God in this area and follow you in this area. And that means you're breaking the first and greatest commandment, loving the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And that will cause a hindrance in your relationship with him and cause you to be lukewarm and prevent you from really embracing the full freedom and identity that you have in Jesus. Selective obedience is a terrifying word in my opinion, because it says you want to be a little bit of your own God. And I'm reading a lot in Samuel right now in the story of David and Saul, and it reminds me of when Samuel tells Saul that obedience is more important than sacrifice. And so often we try to do things for God, go to church, serve, do the things for people that make you look like a good person, but are you being obedient in your heart? Are you being obedient in your mind and how you think? Because that filters into really who you are and your authentic faith. And this verse isn't asking for perfection, because none of us can do that, but it's asking for persistence, to be persistent in your search for a relationship, in your searching of your heart, in your connection with God and growing with God. If you are persistent in checking your heart and wanting to be dependent on him, you're going to be right where you're supposed to be, because he doesn't need your perfection. He just wants your heart. He just wants a heart that's willing to change, that knows his need for him. Because if we know our need for him and we're constantly holding our hands out and saying, God, have your way, search my heart, do what you need to, help me to follow your lead, that's a humble, willing, obedient heart that will lead to you understanding so much wisdom about God, about you, about why you're here. And that's how you stay in deep relationship with him. And the more we do that, the more we're going to be able to love our neighbor better, not hold any prejudice or favoritism. And that will trickle into all of your relationships. That will trickle into how much God can trust you, because as much as we're trying to build trust with him, he's looking at all of us and saying, who can I trust? Who can I trust to love my people well? The way we live our life is evidence of how much he can trust us, how much he can trust us with. So none of us are perfect. All of us are flawed. We all sin, no matter what level. And so when we focus on our heart, we keep our eyes on our heart, and let's go of us needing to compare or fall into any sin that would strip love from other people. Okay?